I am, you are, we are love. Sing it again. I am, yes, you are, we are love. Here's the second part. We are love, we are love, love and only love, love and only love. We are love, we are love, love and only love. I am, you are, we are love. Sing right to me, gorgeous people. Let's sing it again. I am, you are, we are love. Want to do the other little section? Here we go. We are love, we are love, love and only love. We are love, we are love, love and only love. I am, you are, we are love. I am, you are, we are love. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. Aren't you proud of me? That may be the very first time I actually have said that. Let's see, 6 months versus 29 years. And I've learned already. It's amazing. So it's wonderful to see you here at Unity on the Avenue this afternoon. We're glad that you are with us. We're glad that you have decided to spend some of your precious time with us, because your time is your most valuable resource. And so when you share it with us, we are grateful that you are here. So let's take care of some important business. This is Karen Karsh, our awesome musician. And over here is Reverend Pat Veenema, who is our awesome guest speaker. We had an awesome chaplain's retreat. Thank you all for holding consciousness with us if you were not a chaplain. And there were indeed chaplains from 4 different Unity communities. And it was wonderful to blend that energy and to meet new people and to be a part of a bigger community that extends our beloved community out across the Front Range. So that's Pat, and she did an awesome job there, and I know that you will be blessed in a few minutes by her talk. Next Sunday, we have a very unusual event. Have you been reading your newsletter? What's happening next Sunday? Yeah, the Mutt Master. So this is not a bring your dog to church event, although that would be very interesting. It is, as a dog owner, what is your dog teaching you? So this is about your own personal development, and we would encourage you to come prepared to stay for that workshop, which will be in the afternoon. It's by Deb Nab, who is the Mutt Master Dog Behavior Specialist. And she will teach you positive reinforcement methods in working with dogs and their humans. And we know which part of that you are. So there's a suggested love offering of $20. And we invite you to be a part of that. And we are blessed this morning to have Penny Ware as our prayer chaplain, and I invite her to come forward now as she does our opening prayer and leads us in our foundation of faith.
presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. And just breathe. And in this presence, I call forth the powers of love, wisdom, and understanding. As you allow yourself to get comfortable, just relax. Feel the support of your chair and the energy of the earth flowing through your feet. Just breathe, inhale, and exhale. And just take another deep breath and release it. I allow these words to become your words. We affirm, I honor all people in their rights to peace, equity, dignity, and equality. One of Unity's 5 principles is that we recognize the Christ as being individualized in everyone we meet. And holding to that truth, we hold the sacred truth of every human being on the planet. Every spiritual tradition, be it mainstream or indigenous, declares that we are made in the image and the likeness of our holy Creator, whatever name, God, Allah, Spirit, universe, divine mind. And this connection, this unity, is our greatest strength. No one, absolutely no one, can be separate from God, nor are we separate from one another. Each of us is an integral part of God's goodness. Therefore, all people deserve and are worthy of dignity and respect. Everyone has the right to survive, thrive, and live in peace. As spiritual beings, we are perfect. We are equal in the eyes of God. And biologically, at the DNA level, we are 99.9% genetically the same, more than we are different. I behold the divinity we share, the spirit that connects us and joins our hearts in that truth. I have a sacred responsibility to treat others the way I want to be treated. I honor all people in their right to peace, equity, dignity, and equality. My prayer is for all, and that we live in love, peace, and safety as we achieve those qualities among us. I bless the world's people with inclusivity and wholehearted acceptance.
I honor each one in their uniqueness and behold the sacredness of all children of God. And as my beloved brothers and sisters, and I lovingly give thanks for this sacred connection. I give thanks for peace. I give thanks for equality. I give thanks for dignity. I give thanks for equity. And so it is. Amen. And please join with me in saying our statement of faith. There is one power and one presence in the universe and in my life, God, the good and omnipotent.
It's in your eyes. Questions of the ages. There are challenges and changes everywhere we see. Sometimes it's hard to trust. Even the best of us can lose our way. That's why I'm here to say, I'm gonna hold you in the light, hold you in the light, hold you till you know again everything's all right, and I'll remind you, as you are enough. I'm gonna hold you in the light of love, and it's in your hands. There are angels in the answers. Don't lose your second chances. We're where we're meant to be. Don't second guess. Life is gonna bring us all the happiness we deserve. Rest assured, I'm gonna hold you in the light, hold you in the light, hold you till you know again that everything's all right, and I'll remind you, as you are enough. Gonna hold you in that light of love. I'm gonna ask you to remember you have everything you need. Anytime you look into that mirror, and anything that happens, anything you need, remember the light of love surrounds you, and that's all you need to hear. I'm gonna hold you in the light, hold you in the light, hold you till you know again that everything's all right, and I'll remind As you are enough. I'm gonna hold you in the light of love. Remind yourself, as you are enough. We're gonna hold each other in the light of love.
Karen, that was lovely.
Thank you.
Very, very beautiful. And it's what we're all about here. And it is my pleasure now to give you our speaker, Reverend Pat Veenema.
That was amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
I told the chaplains on Friday that the first 5 years of my time with Unity was making sure I had a tissue near me because I did so much healing. And that would have been one of those songs I would have been bawling over. It's such a blessing. That was such a blessing.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. It was such a pleasure to be with you, the chaplains, on Friday, and I'm so happy to be with the rest of this congregation today. It feels a lot like my little Unity Center of Peace in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. The size, the energy, just feels really good. It feels like home. Thank you for letting me come here. Yes, so I wanted to share with you some thoughts I have about what I've learned from spiral dynamics, which is a model of the evolution of consciousness. And there's no way I can teach that to you in 20 minutes. So I'm just going to take a piece of what I've learned without any of the structure of it. It's a model that helps us understand how we've come along, both collectively and individually, in our developmental levels, in our maturity, stages of maturity. So I'll start, though, with recognizing that Charles Fillmore did talk about the evolution of consciousness. He said, and he says that it has to do with desire, and that's my point today. So we'll play around with the idea of desire. Man has never had a desire that could not somewhere in the wisdom of God be fulfilled. If this were not true, the universe would be weak at its most vital point. Desire is the outward impulse of the ever-evolving soul. Desire is the outward impulse of the ever-evolving soul. So he's talking about it being an outward impulse, and he recognizes that the soul continues to evolve. And how does it evolve? Through desire. Well, what is desire? Did you realize that Charles talks about love as desire? It's one of the other words when he talks about it in the 12 powers. Desire, or like love, would be that magnetizing force that you can draw things together with passion. So passion is another word for love. And desire comes with passion, right? I mean, passion comes from desire. So when we have a desire for something, it's usually sort of an outward impulse because we're maybe discontent with where we're at, and we have a desire for a change or an enrichment of some kind. And evolution, the spiral dynamics, has taught us that we're always expanding, doing an outward impulse. Let me give you an example. With child development, we have a little baby who only sees the caregiver, the primary caregiver, mama, or whoever is serving in that role, as their lifeline. They're at survival mode. And that's the first stage of spiral dynamics. Survival. All they want to do is make sure they're safe and they eat and they're cared for. And then they grow to toddler, and then they're interacting with others, perhaps siblings or the parents and the grandparents and the aunts and uncles and whoever. And then they get that's a bigger worldview. And then they get a little older and they might go to preschool, and they've got other adults who are caring for them, other children who they get to know, and their worldview has expanded a little further. An outward impulse. That's how we're growing. And you can see how that continues. The kid gets into elementary school, and they've got 20 kids to play with and more adults to get to know. And then middle school, high school, college, and the big world of adulthood. And we keep expanding our worldview. And so we'll go from, in the collective consciousness, it's the same parallel of the very earliest hunter-gatherers to the tribal community, to the larger tribe, and eventually like a nationalistic identity. I belong to this larger tribe, country, for example, or whatever words we might use for a larger than just the tribe. And then eventually we might get to a global worldview, like we see, as Penny said in her prayer, all of us are one, and no matter where we are, no matter what we look like, we're all the same. And so it's an outward trend to be more and more aware of our surroundings. So it's the spiral has that, in spiral dynamics, the symbol of the spiral starts really narrow and goes up and winds wider and wider and wider as we expand our worldview. When we have several things going on in our world that upsets us, we will have more discontent. So when life conditions change, we will respond with, we got to fix that. We got to change something. We have to move on. Physical life conditions change when a tsunami comes in and wipes out a whole village. That whole village, if they survived, has to move on and reestablish somewhere else. So they've been forced by a life condition to make a change. And most of the time, that change will be an improvement. I mean, why would you reestablish a lifestyle that's worse than the one before? Usually, the human impulse is to make it better and improve. And that's part of our the wisdom from the spiral as well. Onward means moving steadily forward. And I want to give you that because very often we might feel like we're really regressing right now. We get afraid that we're going backwards in terms of women's rights to their own body, for example. Wow, have we just jumped backwards? And wow, are we just regressing? Is the world falling apart? Well, when we have big change, like we've had in the past few years, like COVID was a huge change in life, is a huge change in life conditions. So those catalysts that come into our lives unexpected will be the very things that will help us improve. But we don't always see that right away because it takes a while for us to find a solution to solve the problems that we have created. And when we go through these stages in society, we will solve a problem and work with that new paradigm until that paradigm sort of gets a little corrupt, so to speak, less than healthy, and it's no longer serving our needs. And then from that chaos, another new paradigm will be birthed. And we're in chaos right now, meaning we're in between paradigms. We're moving, and several paradigms, and there's several stages within our country, so that there's different people in different stages, and that's why we don't understand and hear each other. So we have some people are really fear-based conservative, and some people are saying, let's change the whole system and make a new system, and those people are afraid of those people, and all the ideas, and they can't hear each other because they're at different paradigms. They're in different worldviews. And the two cannot hear each other until we get to a place that Spiral calls integral. And integral is a time when, let me just back up, all of the stages we're going through are necessary and good, and they serve us well until they become unhealthy. And then we can create a new way to address those unhealthy issues. And then we get to a point in the spiral model where we get to the top of the first tier, and we're to the place top, meaning the end of that journey. The first tier is kind of like the development of the ego in the child development stages, where the child gets to adulthood and they say, okay, I've created a life for myself. I know who I am. This is my talents. This is my niche in the world. And sometimes that is where a person stays. But then there's others of us who get that divine discontent and say, is that all there is? And we start to go into, instead of outward expansion, we start to drop all that outward and contract back into what's really important is not how much wealth I have or what clothes I wear or anything about all of those outside trappings. And it's more about what's going on in here, the contraction. What's going on in here? And what is my purpose in life? And how can I get into that place of love like I sing about? Like, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. How can I get to that place, not just say it? So it's like a expand and then a contract. And toward the place when we're in that place and we're finished with all the expansion stuff, we're really moving toward an understanding of divine love or God or the oneness. So in the second tier, we're letting go of how the ego is controlling everything, and we're mastering that and knowing our true self, birthing that reality. So it's like a paradox, the divine paradoxes, expand and contract. Teilhard de Chardin, who is a Jesuit priest and paleontologist, interesting connection of religion and science, observed the skull of the Peking man that they discovered in China. That's where he was doing his work with at that time, and he was part of the team that discovered it. A skull that showed, was carbon dated to much earlier than we thought humans had lived on the earth. And it dawned on him how long we've been evolving on this planet. And he started to just see this a divine revelation, I suppose, a whole big picture of this whole earth is sacred. And we're all just doing our thing to evolve and become more and more expansive and mature. And then he says, but eventually he came to a conclusion that we are all moving upward in our evolution toward a single point, which he called the omega point, like the alpha and the omega, as God is referred to. Alpha, God is in the beginning, and God is in the end, and we are all moving toward that omega point when we leave this planet, we go back into the oneness in our spirit world. And so he says we can do that now as a practice, as a self-discipline to master ego and move into a consciousness of oneness, moving into the omega point, all of us returning home. There's lots of stories about people attempting to do this onward and outward improvement. I have one from the Hebrew Scriptures where it's about having more control and more power in our lives. And that's something that we can get when we're more mature. The story is the Tower of Babel. And in this very ancient story, it's in Genesis 11. It's a very early story. And it's about how the people said, hey, if we build a tower, we can get up closer to God. And this tower will bring us all together because we're one. And if we're one, we'll be more powerful. And the gods said, oh, no, no, no. We don't want man to be more as powerful as us. So we're going to destroy that. We're going to confuse them with different languages, and they'll disperse all over the world, and they won't have as much power then as they think they're going to get. So you can see in that story that the humans in this story are reflecting an idea of wanting to have oneness power. Like if we unite, we'll be better off. And they notice that, I guess it's one of those stories that helps the author understand why we're all speaking different languages and why we don't understand each other. So there's that nice Aesop's fable kind of story. And then there's a story from the Greek about Daedalus and Icarus. Daedalus was an architect, a designer, an engineer. He was making a labyrinth, and the Cyclops came and trapped him and his son Icarus in the labyrinth. So the very thing that Daedalus constructed, invented, and built trapped him. The very thing he built became a trap. And Daedalus decided he would invent a way to get out. And he melted wax and used feathers and made wings, and they flew up out of the labyrinth. Daedalus said to his son, now be careful. Don't fly too high. Don't attempt to get all the way up there to the heavens, because you'll get too close to the sun and your wax will melt. And sure enough, that's what happened to Icarus. He plunged into the sea. Another story that says humankind has this desire to build and create, but sometimes what we create becomes our problem. And we have to find another way to get out of it. The human ingenuity, the desire to expand and make something even bigger. And so we have this all through our folklore about how humankind just constantly wants to expand and get better and improve. And that's our nature. That's our intellect working for our good. We keep improving our world. So, and there's one more story. And that's a story about Jesus. It could be a parable about Jesus, actually, because if he was alone in the wilderness, nobody witnessed this. But the story is that the devil came to him in the wilderness, and he said, if you're so powerful, you could jump off this cliff, and the angels will catch you and deliver you back safe to safety. And the story goes that Jesus told the devil to get behind him and be quiet, and that's not the way I'm using my power. And I see that as a very important spiritual discipline that Jesus was doing, because the devil is kind of like ego. And the ego would say, hey, you're powerful, you can do anything. And Jesus says, no, that's not what my power is for. to display it physically or as men would measure power. My power is to have that self-discipline, to say no, and to be in the alignment with my Father, and that's what he called divine love, divine mind, or whatever words we use. These stories are about Jesus did a self-discipline of accepting his power and awareness of his spiritual mastery and influence in others. So we've got this expanding, understanding ourselves and our power, and yet disciplining our power for our highest good and the highest good of others. For hundreds of generations, we've been doing this expansion. And for hundreds of generations, masters do that contraction to come back to the single focus, have a single eye, as the Bible says, that Emily Cady talks about too. Have a single eye for God. As all of our decisions are made, is this bringing me closer to alignment with my, whatever word you want to use for God, my source, divine love. The psalmist, this is about David, King David. He was a warrior king. He was in battles, and because he was such a successful warrior, he was made king, anointed as the first long-term king of Israel. There was another one before him, but he didn't last very long. King David had the first long reign of Israel, of the United Kingdom. And he has this psalm that is beautiful. A lot of you will recognize this, Psalm 42. This is from 3,000 years ago. As the deer longs for running streams, so my soul longs for you, O God. My soul thirsts for God, the living God. When can I enter and see the face of God? And in other verses down that chapter, I will say to God, my rock, why do you forget me? Why must I go about mourning with the enemy oppressing me? It shatters my bones when my adversaries reproach me and when they say to me every day, where is your God? Why am I downcast? Why do I groan within me? I wait for God, for I shall again praise him, my Savior and my God. The king of the new chosen world of the Israelites had his own desire, his passion to know God. And that passion helped him to feel that it will happen, because he held that hope, like Karen's song, I hold you in the light, holding myself in the light, holding my army in the light, knowing that my God is with me. No matter how we see God, David saw God like a warrior would see God. And that's what the spiral also teaches us, that we go through stages of understanding God as well. Now, I wouldn't say that David was wrong about this warrior God. I would say he was right for his worldview. And that can be applied to right here and right now. When we talk to others who have different religious language than us and different religious requirements than we do, or when we're looking at our past upbringing, which might have had a much more traditional religious upbringing, we don't have to look back at that and say, boy, that was so wrong. They were so off. They were so misguided. No, they were right where they understood themselves to be at that time. They were in a paradigm that worked for them. That's helped me a lot to reconcile with my past. I hope that idea helps you as well. And where I am right now is what feels really good to me right now. But that doesn't mean I'm the only right person with my ideas are the only right ones. And I might move on as well and look back and say, boy, I didn't have a very mature look at that, even though I thought I was very mature there. And I might keep growing. Hopefully I will, as we all hope to do. What will help us keep growing? Desire. Let me go back to a quote from Charles I'd read before. Desire is the onward impulse of the ever-evolving soul. Your soul is always evolving. Soul meaning your understanding, your consciousness is always evolving. It's always evolving upward and outward, or whatever metaphor you want to use for space and time. And it's motivated by desire, which is love. Love and passion is the motivator for our evolution. Desire, wanting something different, wanting something better, something more suitable for all, something that serves others in our society better, wanting that's desire. And if we focus on what our desire is, it's an energetic thing. We move closer to the oneness. We move back into a sense of awareness that we all have this desire. Even the people who seem so negative and who are turning to violence, their innermost desire is peace and understanding. They want to be understood. They want peace. They want their children to flourish. They want their children to be safe. They perceive a different solution than someone else perceives, but we all want the same thing. So if you think that we are so divided, so polarized, we could never find a way to hear each other again, that seems true in the midst of all this chaos. But realize that chaos means we're shifting to a new paradigm that will solve some of the problems we've created in this paradigm. And the desire is a common desire that we all share, the desire for peace and tranquility in our lives, and for everyone to be able to get what they need. There's a push and a pull. The push meaning things aren't going well, life conditions aren't satisfying, and there's a pull toward the magnetic force of the omega point of love. We can hold that watch. We can hold the watch together as, like we sing, let there be peace on earth. We all long for it. We desire it. It starts with us. And we energetically are able to give that to others. That light that we're learning to be, shine it out, folks. Give it to others. Don't argue. Don't disagree. Just say, bless you, brother. Love them, even if you don't say it like that, because you might not even have a chance to talk. We can think. We can think a blessing, right? We can think a blessing. I am the light of the world, and I'm not going to hide that. Invite yourself to be that light, to hold your eyes on that omega point of love, and know that this chaos will bring a new paradigm that will be much more satisfying for all the people in this world. So I invite you to hold that with me as we go into meditation. Take a deep breath. Inhale and out. Know with me that you are the light of the world. Even if you're in a place of darkness and confusion or worry or fear, know that that's the part of you that is the human. And there is a part of you that knows the truth of you. That through this chaos, the light shines. That even when we feel that we are regressing, It's just a step backward because we are in such chaos. Chaos tells us something new is being birthed. We let go of obsessive news watching so that our spirits can rise in hope, holding the vision for this chaos to birth a greater reality, one that is compassionate. People who can listen and understand and be patient with others as they walk through their stages of life. We are love. We release our fear and step forward boldly to be the love and the light in the world. We do our work to heal ourselves, to release judgment, to integrate all of our stages of life so that we can be whole and healthy. And we extend our love to those that we don't understand and try for a moment to walk in their shoes and to have compassion for them in their fear-based thinking and see them released from the fear, boldly stepping into a new paradigm for themselves. We follow the light of love to let it guide us in every action and every step we take in our lives. We hold this vision during these weeks of the elections and see peace at every poll site. We see divine love smoothing out the conflicts, filling us with hope and courage. And as we go into the silence, we just hold that vision that each soul is evolving, and we know it is all coming together in perfect order in the silence. Take a deep breath in, release. And in this sacred moment, if you know someone who is in pain or in fear, suffering in any way, hold them in this love and light. Know that they are touched across the miles with your spiritual touch right now. And we see them blessed and at peace. And so it is. Amen.
Alleluia. We are one now, we are one, so we sing hallelujah, hallelujah. That's right, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah,
Thank you, Pat. That was a lovely way to give a broad overview of spiral dynamics. And we're going to tempt you with those words over and over and over again. And so when there's a class, we know where you'll be in the class. Oh, thank you. So, I'm not seeing any children live and in person, but I am seeing that you have been blessed with an opportunity to be here today, to be blessed by Pat and Karen. And I know that you have another opportunity, which is to give generously. Giving generously is what allows you to multiply your own good. And so we hold that vision as we repeat our offertory affirmation. Together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you.
this world keeps on shifting and changing. We want desires to come true, leading us upward and onward toward oneness. And if you think that all the chaos is just gonna stay the same, well, I believe this too shall pass. And if you want to make a change in your own world, I can tell you what works for me, and it just might work for you too. It doesn't take a whole wide world to make life sweeter. It doesn't take a whole wide world. If you want to make a change, start with an attitude of gratitude. See yourself clear in the mirror, then step by step, minute by minute, put your heart and your soul and your love right in it, and then, whoa, you're gonna see a change. Isn't that right? It doesn't take a whole wide world to make life a little bit sweeter. It just doesn't take a whole wide world if you want to make a change. Just hang on, just be strong. Remember, God's always with you, step by step, minute by minute. Put your heart and your soul and your love right in it. And then before you know it, here is your change. Choose love. It's what we all respond to. Choose joy. In a smile or in a song, change. How about one more time? Takes a whole wide world to make life just a little bit kinder. It doesn't take a whole wide world if you let your light shine. Start with an attitude of gratitude. See blessings in the mirror. You got it step by step, minute by minute. Put your heart, your soul, and all your love in it, and then you're gonna see a change. And step by step, minute by minute, put your heart, your soul, and all your love in it, and then you're gonna see a change. You're gonna see a change. You're gonna see a change.
And so you do know that each and every one of you are in charge of that change. Honest. I need you in your mind's eye to see it happening. That's what the power of unity teaches, is that you have the power. It's not like it's in Pat or me and we're the only ones because we got ordained. It's in all of us. So you pick the world that you want to see happening and see it and know it, and so it will be. So we are going to bless our children and know that they are loved, special, and important, and see you and bless the divine being that you are, whether they're in this room or anywhere. And I invite you now to stand and to join with me as we say our prayer for protection. So together we know that the light of God surrounds us. I am that light. The love of God enfolds us. I am that love. The power of God protects us. I am that power. The presence of God watches over us. I am that presence. And wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you very much.